Hi everybody, in this video we're going to be looking at how we can take parts and then form assemblies using Creo. So if we have a look on screen, I've got the cube from the Creo primer open. I've also got the strut open from the Creo primer. So what we want to do is assemble these to create a larger mass assembly of the constituent parts. So in order to do this, we need to go to File, New, and instead of clicking part, we need to click assembly. You can give it a name if you want. Remember, no spaces. I'm just going to leave it as the default. And again, we need to untick the default template. And we click OK. And then obviously we're going to choose our units. So we want it to be the same units as what our parts are in. So millimeters. And we click OK. So now you'll see that we're in the assembly screen. And there are a few things that are a little bit different to when we're making parts. So you can see up here it says assemble, create, so this is basically our assembly options. So the first thing we need to do is actually import one of our parts into the assembly. So if I click assemble here, I can open up one of the parts. So the first thing I'm going to open is this cube. I click open, you can see that the part's imported. Now while it's purple, that means that it's not actually constrained in any way, and so in order to assemble components we need to basically constrain their movement, obviously in the 6 degrees of freedom. And to do that, you'll see up here we've got various different commands. So I like to open this placement tab, so this allows you to add different constraints on how you want to do it. As this is the first component, it's very easy for us to position it. If we click here, you see these are different types of constraints that you can put on, but at the moment it's on automatic. So we'll click user defined, and then because it's the first part, we want it to be fixed. So we're just going to click default. So that just basically aligns the coordinate system from our part with the global coordinate system for the assembly. So you see here it's just moved the coordinate systems into the same point. And it's also changed colour, so that means that it's fully constrained. You can see that here, it says status fully constrained. So our first part's very straightforward. We can just put it in the default position and that fixes it to the centre of the coordinate system. So we just click the little tick mark here. You'll see this time the model tree is a little bit different to before. So you, instead of having like your sketches and extrusions, you've now got parts. So if I click on this part here, you can see it highlights the cube. So now what I need to do is import a strut. So to do that, I'm just going to click assemble and click on the strut, click OK. So you see here we've got our cube, and this now we've got a strut in here and it's purple, so that means it's not constrained. So what you can do is you can position it. So you'll see these little handles here, you can use these to actually move the part. Now doing this is only useful for getting it into roughly the right position, so you can also rotate the part using these as well. So what I like to do is use these to get the part in roughly the correct position so I know where it's going to go. So I want this part to go into this hole here. So now what I need to do is start constraining it. So to do that I'm going to open up the placement tab, and you'll see the first one here, so I've got set 1. And so what I need to do is select component items so that I can constrain them to each other. So if I select component item, I'm going to select the central shaft here, and then select an assembly item. So I'll select the central shaft for this hole, and you'll see what it's done is it's sort of automatically picked up that it should be coincident. So that means that both of these shafts are going to be perfectly in line. So I'm happy with that, and that actually removes quite a lot of the degrees of freedom. So you can see around here I can only really rotate it now or move it along this axis. So to lock this down even further, I can add a new constraint, and what I want now is this face here to touch this face. So what I'll do is I'll click on this face and then click on this face, and you'll see it's automatically made it coincident. Sometimes it will come up with the wrong thing. It might add a distance in here, so you can change this distance so that you can have an automatic offset. So it's worth looking at this constraint type here. Sometimes it may put a distance in, but you can just change it to coincident. Okay, and you'll see it says allow assumptions, so it's basically assuming that now you've basically fixed 5 degrees of freedom. It just thinks that it knows how you want to orientate it, so it's fully constrained. So we just click OK, and now we've got 2 of our parts in. And so what I would need to do now is import another cube. So if I go assemble, cube, open, you'll see it's opened up a cube, and we just follow the same process again. So we go placement, this time we'll go for the whole axis and then the axis of the shaft. Okay, so it's made that coincident, that's exactly how we would like it to be. And then we're going to do the face, so we'll click on this face here and click this face here. So again, it's realized that that's now fully constrained, and we can click OK. So now what you can do is go along and repeat this process for all of the parts. Okay, so now I've got all the base components in position. We can now start adding the struts to go up. Okay, so now I've got all the vertical struts. You would then repeat the process of putting the top cubes and struts into the model. So once you've added the top layer, you will then have your completed assembly.